want you guys to understand just how much I regret hitting the start stream button. I am so tired. But I want to play this game. But I'm so tired. I have not so iced tea. Try and wake me up. I promise you it's probably not gonna work. It is also not going to hydrate me whatsoever, so I have water. Hello Aiko, how you doing? I am so sleepy. Also scrunched up my screen, so if it takes me longer to move around things, you'll have to give. By the way, hold on. Shit, Azzy's. Well, I mean, Azzy's technically already saw it. Hold on. Let me put a picture. I got a commission back. I got one of my very few commissions that I've done in the last few months. I don't want to show it off. Hey. Look at these. 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 And I got. Hold on. Nope. No bunny. I don't know what to do with these things on my stream. I will figure it out in the time when I'm more awake. I will figure it out when I'm more awake. But I am super excited. I probably should have asked her to flip them, but I had a feeling like it's not gonna look nearly as good if we flip. I also just kept on forgetting, so I'm just like, no, you know what? We'll figure it out. I'll probably just put them in the corner. I need to fill up space down there anyways. Yeah. Eight's attorney. What was I doing again? Oh god, it's you. Oh fuck, I actually don't remember what I was doing. Everyone set foot in the hut and I spoke with the English woman. I was there only as an observer. Do I even have the evidence to... Yes, because of this.
Objection!
No! Your Excellency, I must object to the witness's last statement. And the evidence you've used in my direction is supposed to prove your point. I apologize. I did present it rather more forcefully than I intended to. You will kindly refrain from these overly exuberant outbursts, Counsel, be they verbal or material. Really put me in my place there. Oh fuck, I guess I'm not supposed to present that real quick? I just presented that because it had the same symbol and it has his initials. Oh wait, I'm stupid.
Objection!
It's the pen, not the goddamn knife. Many memos on. Until now, I've had a firm belief that newspapers are in the business of uncovering and publishing the truth. You're spot on there. The press doesn't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of the show you news on my arm. In a way, that's more many memoism. Sadly, though, it seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth. What are you suggesting with those recriminatory words? Many memos-san. Do you recognize this fountain pen? Pen was found at the scene of Miss Brett's death. In fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand as she died. What are you? If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there. R.M. Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Counsel. The initials of the accused, Ray Membabi. Is it a coincidence, I wonder? That your initials are also R.M. No! Brighton Mini Memo. R.M. That's horse tongue! Can't you see? One of the central tenets of many memos is being a pencil user. And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see, on your right hand, there's a very obvious blue ink stain. It would appear that you must have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. Your favorite fountain pen, that is. Horsey horse tongue! Many Memo-san, is it not the case that before she died, you met with Giselle Brett in that beach hut?
Objection!
Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing but an excuse! Exactly! Show you news will stand behind me all the way. I deny everything. There must be as many people with the initials RM as there are stars in the night sky. The defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky. And there's no need anyway, because his pen has more to tell. Yes, there is another clue. A clue that undeniably proves who its owner really is. In that case, counsel, the defense will now show the court where this alleged clue lies. Of course, Your Excellency. The clue on this fountain pen that clearly reveals its owner's identity is... Who's on the bottom? Yeah.
Got it!
As well as the initials, there's also an emblem on the fountain pen. An emblem that you will of course recognize, Memi Memo-san. Goodness me, it's the emblem of the Shoyu News! In other words, the owner of this pen is an employee of the Shoyu News, whose initials are RM. Suddenly the stars in the night skies don't seem so numerous, do they? Well, Mini Memo-san, how do you respond? Order! Order! Explain yourself, witness! So, this is how the mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using coercive tactics to have well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets. I've used nothing but honest tactics. Alright then, fine! I won't try to hide it anymore. Yet, yes, not long before that grim tragedy unfold, I, a Shoyu news reporter on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the Englishwoman. An interview? You never mentioned this before! When exactly was this? As I said, it was before that evil little student girl showed her face in the hut. It couldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. It was just a brief exchange. But it came to nothing. And as many memoists say, people don't pay their dues for unworthy news. Holy mackerel, I am going to murder this guy. However insignificant you deem it to be, the court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify now under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired. Got it. Yes. Alright. But... on one condition. Condition? In all good consciousness, I couldn't speak out alone about this. You need to call back the earlier witness, Saseki Natsume-san. Saseki-san? Oh yes, according to my notes here, that man has a secret of his own. Embrace yourselves, because it's not a harmless one, it's big. What? Many memoism states that one man's secret is every other man's front page story. Very well, I will grant the witness's request in this instance. Officer, summon the earlier witness back to the stand. Seki-san, mean something? Oh, there he is. As nervous as be. Glad to know he has not changed at all. I asked the Englishwoman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. And, watching secretly from the outside, I saw the woman being stabbed and the other witnesses come running in. The detective realized that the victim still had the pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. That's when this writer man here asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why many memoism demands I reveal it now. You mean to say the victim? The victim regained consciousness? And when she did, you decided to ask her a question? That's, true. Yes. He did. And that's not all. The woman gave him a very definitive answer. An answer that incriminates the accused. This is preposterous! Why am I only hearing about this now? Why didn't you mention this before, you yokel hack? It wasn't even a conversation! Yes, I did pose the withering English Rose a question. I don't deny it. But she could no longer speak. She was barely conscious even. Counsel for the defense, I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. The court must and will know the truth. Absolutely, Your Excellency. Reporter is claiming that Miss Brett implicated Ray somehow? What on earth could have happened in that hut? Alright, so we have to go to the very obvious point. Question. Oh, this one?
Hold it!
What question? What exactly did he say? Well now, you should hear from the horse's mouth, I think. Don't you, Mr. Writer Man? Ah! Out with it, you yokel hack! What did you say to her? What did you say to the dying Englishwoman? Well, in truth, I'd been catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sand, you see. Well, the seaside is a place to be at leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man. But then all of a sudden, from that little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for help pierced the air. Ray! I ran up to the beach to see what was happening, to find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. As soon as Inspector Hosonaga saw Miss Brett on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan. A moan from the dead Englishwoman. I nearly jumped out of my skin! What did you ask her, Soseki-san? I asked her, who did this to you? Don't protract this any longer. How did the woman respond? She didn't! She said nothing in response! But... When in the stand, you will answer the questions of... you will answer the questions asked of you unambiguously. I hate it here. Now, without evasion or reticence, I demand that you amend your testimony. I will! I asked her, who did this to you? You never replied.
Hold it!
So you tried to find out who the culprit was. He who asks a question is a fool for a minute. He who does not remains a fool forever. And having been labeled a criminal twice during my time in Great Britain, I was quick to make up my mind. Twice? What the fuck do you mean twice, sir? Huh? I thought you were only labeled once. What the heck? Better to be a fool for a minute than remain a fool in prison forever. However, you've indicated that the victim failed to respond, is that correct? I know why the Englishwoman said nothing. She was ignoring me because of my stupid mustache, because I'm Japanese! Oh dear, Saseki-san really has developed a dislike for the English, it seems. Having read the report on his time in Great Britain, I can't say I'm surprised at his xenophobia. But the Englishwoman didn't ignore you at all, did she, Mr. Writer Man? Well, yes, alright. She did respond in a manner of speaking, I suppose. Just lifted a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant.
Hold it!
Miss Brett pointed the finger at the defendant? The Seki-san, is that really true? It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishwoman was sprawled on the floor before us, with the student girl standing on the far side of her. And when I asked who did this to you, the Englishwoman summoned her last ounce of strength, pointing the trembling finger back at the back of the hut. Which was, it can't be denied, in the direction of the student girl who stands accused today. No. So Seki-san, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony? But fiddlesticks, I say! This is not a British court of law. You will respond in Japanese. Yes, of course. The Englishwoman did point her finger towards the back of the hut, but I was trembling, and she was trembling, and everything was a blur. Thinking about it, I feel as though perhaps she was pointing in a slightly different direction. Actually, no! Not slightly, in a very different direction to where the student girl was standing. To somewhere at the back of the hut, where nobody was standing at all! Mean that your memory of events and the direction in which the victim was pointing are both unclear? Yes, that's it! Unclear! I'm very, very unclear!
Objection!
Your Excellency, surely this proves the matter beyond all reasonable doubt. Yes, the woman may barely have been conscious, and yes, perhaps her finger wavered slightly, but there can be no doubt that this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why? Because as the court can see, there was no one other than the accused in the direction the victim was pointing. It is now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could possibly have committed this crime. I'm inclined to agree. And in the absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude the trial. No! No! I'm gonna punch you in your stupid ass face! The headline's writing itself. Dashing lawyers hope dashed! 92 point across the whole page. We'll do an extra edition! The serious blows, Sato. Unless we're able to identify the true culprit and substantiate our claim with evidence, the judge will give his ruling and the trial will be over. But that's impossible, Father! We don't even know how the crime was committed yet. Impossible though the task may seem, we have no choice. We must think back over everything we've learned thus far. Where in all those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need. It gave us her account of how the events unfolded in the defendant's antechamber before the trial resumed. It told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what was saying. A moment later, suddenly got to her feet, or collapsing on the floor in front of me. Knife. How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back in the beach hut that was empty but for herself and Ray? Somewhere amid all the information we gathered so far, there must be an answer to that question. I take it then that the defense has nothing further to add. Oh, the gallant yokel student's luck finally runs out. I can't say I'm surprised. In that case, I'm ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter. It's a crucial turning point now. If I can't establish what really happened, it's over. What's the real culprit hiding? And how did he or she stab the victim?
Objection!
Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your adjudication for the time being. Oh, to what end, counsel? Defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture.
Objection!
An alternative theory? None exists.
Objection!
There was someone else present at the scene. Who else? Who could have committed this crime? Zora. What? I think it was Maya. Do we have any proof Maya wasn't there? I don't know, man. I don't know at all. I don't know at all. Who the fuck's pinging me? The victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time by mustering all her remaining strength and pointing out trembling fingers in the killer's direction. This is fiction! Fantasy! Very well. As you seem so sure of yourself, counsel, I'm prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Ryotaro Naruhodo? Yes, Your Excellency! You will present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. At the moment the victim was stabbed, where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed? Take
that!
Naruhodo-san would never give up, and I'm a Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brett is concealed in this location here! You mad, counsel? You're suggesting the culprit was outside the hut! What? Order, order, order! But student lawyer Naruhodo-san Esquire! That makes no sense at all! You've just pointed out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scoop snapped. But I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering about. I could swear to that! Obviously, if the culprit has been outside the hut, there is no way he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut. Actually, Prosecutor Algie, there is a way. And in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that is precisely the way Miss Brett was killed. You're bluffing. You're bluffing, you yokel. The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You'll need to give us more guidance, counsel. A piece of evidence corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut. Wait. I didn't account for this. I did not account for this. Hold on. Oh, maybe. Hold on. Wait. Oh, hang on. Is it one of these two pictures?
Take that!
Zora, hi. Hi, Savannah. How you doing? I didn't see anyone suspicious hiding with me. The original photographic print of the crime scene. Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. Trace of the fatal thrust that was delivered from outside the beach hut.
Objection!
Do you take us for fools? There's no hint of any such thing. I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone, at least, appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to. Counsel, once again, I must call on you to be explicit for this court. Where on this photograph is the traces of stabbing, which you claim took place from the outside the hut? In the wine bottle. Clearly.
Take that!
Excuse me, the grape juice bottle. Look closely, just here. In the screen at the back of the hut, you can see the effects of a blade having been forced through the reeds. No! I can't see any such thing! It's true that the hut in question has 4 walls as you expected. However, by parting the reeds, a knife blade could easily penetrate them. This is extraordinary! Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut. And of everyone present at the scene, there is only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Right in many memos-san! It could have only been you! Nano.
Objection!
Objection! This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. Just look at the photograph again. The victim lies almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, does she not? Are we to assume as part of this farcical scenario that the assailant was a knife thrower?
Objection!
No, of course not. We're not? If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death, did she mention that she walked into the middle? A stool! Have another look at the photograph. The slit in the read screen would align perfectly with the back of a person who was sitting on that stool. My word! So, in fact, the victim was killed while still sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the read screen. Mid-attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively. Then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut. Before the defendant, Mimbambi. I'm just gonna suffer. Membami-san. Ah. That, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day. By your silence, Many Memo-san, I take it that you don't deny the charge. This is absurd! That will do. It would appear that we have a tactic admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth in this matter. I did not mean to hit that button. Which means that the defendant, Mimbambi-san, is innocent of the crime. Thank goodness. I finally made him cave. I must say, I've never been more proud. No, this can't be. The Algae clan can't... What of my growth? My growth of hope! It wasn't all an aberration! I can't accept this, I won't! I see no reason for the continuation of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude proceedings by delivering my final verdict, and we're not doing that, alright? Well, this is all very convenient. Now the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedoms to speak and branding them as criminals. But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut, through the reed screen walls. And no one but you was in that place at that time to have his hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction, as I itch my eyes because my hair is in my eyes. God help me. So, your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the English woman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now. Irrelevant? Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed. It doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference, if you think about it. After all, This trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else. What are you talking about? Brace yourselves, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Because of the dirt you dug up. What? Enough obscurity. Explain yourself, witness. What's to explain? I'm talking about the poison, of course. The poison? Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand that a deadly poison you were developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? And it's been shown that this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Is that right? That is correct. I'm just choked on my own spit. Hang on. This shit. Hang on. I can't open my water bottle. Help me. Why did that happen in such a serious moment too? I almost had the water come up my nose now. I need an adult. I'm just gonna die. It's fine. It's fine. Who needs to live? Living is overrated anyways. Living is absolutely overrated. Okay, I'm good. The unusual constriction of the victim's pupil are a sure sign that this particular poison was used. I see. So presumably that means that the victim already had the poisoner's body before she was stabbed. Given that her pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes. If she had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood. How refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely! It matters not a jot who stabbed whom, in whose back, and with whose blade. Because, quite simply, the English woman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison.
Objection!
But that could be explained by the poison being in the blade, as I already...
Objection!
Forgotten already, have we, yokel? During these very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor at your side assisted in proving that the blade of the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever. So let me get this down. The facts, as skillfully established by the defense in this trial, turned out to be a headline-making red herring. Is that about right? Oh, poor Zizato. I'm an adult. I'm an adult, but I need to be an adultier adult. Order, order, order! But where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? There's an undeniably obvious answer to that. The lady most likely imbibed it? I mean, drank it? Have another look at the photograph here. As you can see, a bottle of carbonated water and a carbonated water. That is a wine glass. That is not I mean, this is champagne. That is not carbonated. That is not sparkling water. That is not carbonated water. That is alcohol. There's alcohol in that drink, yo. A bottle of carbonated water and a glass has been knocked out onto the sandy floor of the beach hut. Poison could have been slipped into either. So somebody made Miss Brett drink it. Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This'll make a great front page shot. Hey, why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It would make no sense at all that I poisoned the woman, would it? I mean, that's been established already.
Hold it!
Established? What are you talking about? Don't tell me you've forgotten. That's a little hard to believe, given that the person who established it was you! Me? What on earth does he mean? Ooh, let me catch those wide eyes! This prime press fodder, this is! It would seem that this trial is not destined to end yet after all. I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony. That's great, that is! Let me get a shot at that magnificent beard, Your Excellency! You claim it to be impossible that you were the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You will explain to the court in your testimony the basis upon which you make such a claim. Journo, and I'm a man. I've never tried to run or hide from anything in my life. And I'm not about to start now, because that's many-memoism. For a brief moment, I thought I illuminated the truth. I slipped right back into obscurity again. So where is this trial going to take us? Oh yes, I stabbed the Englishwoman, and it's that very fact that proves I'm innocent. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I've already poisoned her? When I heard a student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat. If the courts weren't going to punish Brett for what she did, someone else would have to see justice done. So, you admit it then? That everything happened as I described? That you are the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the read screen? You can blame this miserable country of ours. A country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it! I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Slap bang in the middle of that charming lady's back, I plunged the blade of sweet justice right in there. As someone who spends his life seeing that the truth is told, I feel really awful about giving false information in my testimony before. But as it turns out, there was somebody else who had it in for the victim and got to her before me. That's right, you guessed it. That pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart. You're implicate. Why do I speak words? You're implicating Ray again. She's the one who gave the poison to the Englishwoman and ended her pitiful existence. And suddenly, snap! This journal here's off the hook. The argument is sound, certainly. If the witness had administered the poison herself, he need only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently, stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsense. And therefore, this reporter has nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical. That's right, it is. Logical and true. I'm glad you've all seen the light. Justice at last. Unbelievable. After I made so much progress in proving his guilt. You going to get away with it now? Kazuma-sama Naruhodo-san. They never stopped looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel. Very well then, counsel. Proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination of this trial. Yes, Your Excellency. How do we bring up the fact that we can test the pen?
Hold it!
So you still maintain that you didn't give the poison to the victim? Obviously! That'd be like putting a belt on your trousers when you've already wearing braces like these. Huh? The accused administered a poison following which this witness stabbed the victim. An unforgivable act, certainly, but not one of murder. That crime rests on the accused's shoulders. That is how the law works, you see, yokel. Who knows? You may even learn something here today. 2 consecutive attempts on her life in the space of minutes? Quite a day for the victim. Do something that evil, and you've got it coming. That's how the law works. The law of reckoning. That's not the kind of law this court upholds. You will reiterate why you were compelled to stab the victim then, witness. Pompous.
Hold it!
Oh. Does someone else you, Many Memo-san? No comment. Sorry? It was the accused who sent that Englishwoman to hell. I just waved her off, that's all. Alright, yes, I got my hands a little dirty in the process, it's true. But you listen to me. My blade was restless at the injustice of it all. The woman got what she deserves. I say we should all applaud the young student girl for having the courage to rid the world of that menace. It hasn't been proven that the defendant did anything of the sort. Sorry about that. Slip of the tongue. The victim had unwillingly taken the poison already. The reporter would have had no reason to stab her. On the face of it, that logic sounds entirely reasonable. There's no question that this man was responsible for Miss Britt's murder. If we could think of a plausible explanation as to why he might have stabbed her even after poisoning, I feel sure that everything would drop into place. That's what we should be looking for. Yes, I agree. And in order to do that, I must try to glean more information. When you press more, is that what you're saying?
Hold it!
So, you do admit that you have murderous intents towards Miss Brett then? Ha! The woman's very existence offends my sense of justice. Your sense of... maybe some sort of righteous... indignation? She was pure evil. A cold-blooded killer who'd commit murder right here on our empire's soil. But did our good-for-nothing government do anything? Not a chance. So I had to step in. Fly the flag of justice. Put things right for the people. Yes, it was my civic duty. That's what drove me to do it. So in summary, murderous intention, son. Whatever you want to call it, the point is this. That Englishwoman was a blight. So I had to do what was right for society. Yet a real wrong was done by the student girl in the dock. A crime for which she must pay. Obviously, because the poisoning was nothing to do with me at all.
Hold it!
What exactly were they arguing about? About what happened in that restaurant 9 months ago, that's what. The student girl was laying into the Englishwoman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson. Yes, John H. Wilson. Professor of medicine, invited here from England by Professor Mikotoba, no less. Right, but the Englishwoman just jeered. Her case was to be heard by the British consular court in Shanghai. However, there's little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman. It was eating that student girl up inside, you could see it. I really felt for her. I can't stand here and listen to this tripe! Ray! Young girl, you stand accused here! You can't just blurt out whenever you feel like it! No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen. But this alpha man is making all of this up! Sato, please! You have to make them listen! Turn to the dock at once, Membami-san. You're in the middle of a cross-examination.
Hold it!
Your Excellency, please, I implore you. That journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness. Exactly. He's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, grape-peeping Tom. Whoa, take it easy there. Please. I really think the court should hear what the defendant has to say. Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused's remarks. I will grant the request of the defendant. But, Your Excellency! This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, I believe it will be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, whilst recognizing that this contravenes regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Your Excellency. It's nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. We're discussing the stolen poison. Stolen poison that killed the victim, you mean? A big mug. Maybe I brought in too much iced tea. We'll see what happens. I suspected her of being the one to steal it. I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson. That's true. Additionally, Miss Brett certainly had the knowledge of the new poison. Surely it would be no easy task to steal highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. That's true. I pestered Professor Mikotoba until he agreed to show me the poison where I visited his laboratory. But as I left, I was searched from top to tail. Miss Brett rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we've been developing, you see. And since Soseki-san expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance. I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singularly terrible experience with a deadly poison. Wait. Soseki, were you poisoned? When? How? Huh? I wanted to look my old enemy in the eye. Surely you can understand that. Find out if my suspicions were true. I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her if there were any incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't be just the university. The military would be dragged into it. The whole government even. It would be a complete disaster. And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns? Just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually. Yes. Penny Memo-san, one small question, if you don't mind? I do mind. Can't you see I'm busy? Clearly you were outside the beach hut listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably then, it was you who wrote this article about what you've heard. Exclusive! Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Facility. Yeah, we'll call it facility. The news is published in this morning's edition of Shoyu News. The details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else. Huh? Sorry, don't know what you're talking about. Yes, look at this! The entire article! It's almost what I said to Miss Brett, word for word! Well, Mini Memo-san. As a journo, and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. That's a founding principle of many memoism. He's clearly right about this. That reporter did write that article, and he based it on what he overheard from outside the hut. That's what it was about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with that stinking story about me arguing with her. Shut up! My stories never stink. Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say. I want to go on record. Very well. You may amend your formal testimony. Point is, if you poison someone, there'd be no reason to then go and stab the person as well. How did you register the B button? How did you register? Whatever. You're stupid. Your face is stupid.
Hold it!
Perhaps you doubt the efficiency of the poison sought to make sure your victim will die. That's horse dung. What? That would be like pouring pepper on your Chinese ramen before you even, huh? What do you mean Chinese ramen? Although, it might surprise you to learn that I'm a bit of an impetuous pepper pourer as it happens. If the victim was taking the poison, would have been only minutes away from death. Yet, this man then proceeded to stab her in the back as well. There has to have been a good reason for that. If it was the reporter who gave the poison to Miss Brett, then clearly, he must have done it prior to Ray entering the hut. Yes, that's undeniable. Between him leaving the hut and the victim being stabbed, there was one very crucial change in the situation. Sorry? Change. The reporter overheard the conversation between Ray and the Englishwoman. Yes, that's it. That's when many memos on first found out the exact nature of the poison he used. What's the key here? Shit. You make it sound like I'm supposed to know what the fuck I'm doing. Would it be this?
Objection!
You should know. You should always know. No! Well, I could think of one reason. What? What? Before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. You glean all the information for this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut. Of course he did! There could be no questions of that! After all, when we were all in the laboratory together, all we were told is that it was a terrible toxin. There's one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Mami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison into Miss Brett's drink.
Objection!
Where are you going with this, counsel? Memo-san has made it quite clear that he observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. If the defendant had somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it. Which means that Miss Brett couldn't have been imbibited poison whilst the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Mami-san entered the hut. Yes, very articulately put. When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison. At which point, Mami-san, Memo-san overheard some worrying information. Worrying information? What worrying information? The information which he subsequently included in this newspaper article. Namely, that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy, and that it couldn't be readily obtained. Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could come from is my lab. And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs in death. Extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life has been ended by the use of that particular poison. Which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people. Everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them will be foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. And Mommy-san being no exception. Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered this unique poison to the victim was a layperson, unaware of its telltale properties. In other words, someone like you! Right, and many memo? Oh damn, she is tall. It's you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day. And it was you who administered it to the unwitting victim. You quickly realized that that was a terrible mistake. Because the poison caused such unusual symptoms and was so traceable. As you listened in from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learned of these facts. But you've already given the victim the poison at that point. It's too late. So you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involved stabbing the victim in the back through the read screen.
Objection!
But what good could that possibly do? Isn't it obvious, Counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect. Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction. But he had hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that happened, hasn't he? Exactly. Because without any revealing signs of the new secret poison use, no one would have ever suspected. This is extraordinary. Yes, the effects of the poison meant it would be too easy to identify, so the killer had to mask its use. Which he attempted to do by plunging a knife into the middle of the victim's back. Order, order, order! The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied that it warrants consideration. Does the prosecution have a counter-argument it wishes to put forward? Well, there are a number of... yes, I counter completely!
Objection!
The prosecution's evasive response clearly shows that much in the same way he nurtures the remnants of his top knot, he is clinging to lost hope. Lost hope! Damn, did he have to do him like that? Yeah. Oh! Oh, are you mad? Are you mad? Ah, you pathetic, useless, fallen samurai! Fallen? Who are you calling fallen? My briganding. Oh, shit. I don't need a counter-argument. What are you talking about? Should be blatantly obvious. I stole the poison, you say. Give it to the victim, you say. Stabbed her, you say. Lots of fine theories. But I don't need a counter-argument because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? Yes, you make it all sound so plausible, don't you? But without evidence, it means nothing. Whereas I base my news on facts. Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself. I mean what the professor said earlier in this trial. It's all here, in my many memos. Every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted. That's what the Show You News is famous for. It's the power of the printed word. Ah, yes, and he replicates all of those words into the form of a flashback cutscene. How's that then? Blown the story wide open. See, I, Raiten Many Memo, a mere reporter for Show You News, couldn't possibly have stolen that poison from the professor's laboratory. There can't be any question of it. He must have stolen the poison that day. He stole it, and used it to kill. And if that's the case, as you've identified, the poison itself is definitive evidence we need. Because whoever stole it from the laboratory that day is the true culprit here. What's your point, you annoyingly handsome country bumpkin? My point is annoyingly handsome country bumpkin. Should I take that as a compliment or an insult? My point is this. There's one way that you, Mini-Memo-san, could have stolen the poison that day. I've heard enough verbal conjecture now, thank you. What the court must be shown is evidence. Annoyingly handsome. Mini-Memo, sir. You got something you want to admit to. I know, it's like I show him the pen.
Take that!
Proof, Your Excellency. Is this fountain pen? A fountain pen? How could that possibly be relevant? These magical pens somehow seem to have enough ink to write many thousands of kanji characters. I believe they arrived in our country for the first time some 15 years ago now. Ah, I swear by Weasel's hair calligraphy brush and nothing else. These newfangled pens are merely a fad. I would love to be able to know, like, how they write with a fountain pen. But I would be really bad at it. Same with a calligraphy pen. Well, as a forward-thinking man of words, obviously I love my fountain pen. Suck of a... Oh, what the hell? How did it... how do you say that? It's not a soup con, right? Sumptuous ink, and one's work is awash with words in the blink of an eye. That's right. Fountain pens have a small reservoir in the barrel, into which ink is sucked up through the nib of the pen in order to write with later. What does all this talking of sucking up ink have to? And just as it's possible to suck up ink into the reservoir, it's also possible to eject it through the nib again, of course. Word! Can this really be? Well, Mini-Memo-san? When you saw deadly poison before your eyes in the laboratory that day, you used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you? By siphoning the poison up through the nib and into the pen's reservoir.
Objection!
More absurdity! That never happened. True, we've heard that there were procedures in place to prevent thefts like this from the laboratory. But would anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen of all places? No, I'm a little ashamed to say. And for fear of offending our guests, such a detailed search would have not been conducted. Well, this is quite startling, I must say. I remind the court that this pen was found in the clutches of the victim where she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by Mini-Memo-san. So the crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped? Are you suggesting? The natural conclusion is that you, in your haste act while the victim was distracted for a moment, you dropped the pen after you emptied the poison into her glass.
Objection!
There could be any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have been using his pen to write down details of his conversation with the victim. And when shocked by one of her outrageous answers, the pen fell from his quivering hand.
Objection!
No, that can't be. If it was, the pen was devoid of ink. What? As you can see for yourself if you examine the evidence, there would appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. What newspaper reporter goes to interview someone with nothing in his pen? No, the pen was dropped after the poison that filled its reservoir has been emptied into the victim's glass. Witness, what do you have to say in your defense? So this is how our modern justice system works, is it? So what if the ink of my pen runs dry? So what if my pencil snaps? Oh, he's armed. Wait, where's your book? Always claw my way back into the game. I have plenty in reserve. Oh god. You claim I sucked the poison up into my pen? That's wild speculation, nothing more. If you thought you could bring down a fine, upstanding citizen with a trick like that, think again. Looks as though it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish this matter. As I see it, the situation is now very simple. It rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day in question. Man is channeling Wolverine. And therefore, it all depends upon whether or not the defense can prove that he did it with evidence. Ha! No such evidence could possibly exist.
Objection!
Many memos. This is how our modern justice system works. What? In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember. Because we are well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you. Very well then. I call upon the defense to present the aforementioned evidence. That then, to be the final piece in the puzzle. Defense can prove by means of this item that it was the witness's pen that was used to steal the poison. It is the regent. Counsel, what is this bottle? This bottle contains a unique chemical reagent that can identify the poison in question. Yes, the poison is an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by my colleagues in Prime. It will be impossible to detect traces of it by any other method. Or, from another perspective, simply with this chemical reagent, anybody at all could check for traces of the poison. A reagent? What? One drop of the contents of this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen, Memo-san, is all it will take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt. No, you can't. I won't. Crimes are bad enough, but I at least know when to admit defeat. Your Excellency. Defense requests permission to carry out the test on the fountain pen at once. Oh god! This isn't my fault! The Emperor drove me to do all this, trying to hold his head high as a civilized nation. I fucking hate you. You were going so damn fast. On the name of justice and righteousness, yes, Oh, Susato, with me! I'm there! Oh, and there they go. Did I do it right? That was a Susato takedown, wasn't it? Not quite. That was a Ryotaro takedown. I'm sorry, Your Honor. My nickname is Susato. I just wanted you to be aware. The instant the first drop of the reagent touched the nib of the fountain pen, it was clear to everyone present. Oh, look at how he looks! I saw it there in the lab. Poison. The devil got a hold of me and I decided to do it on a whim. I excused myself and emptied all the ink down the sink in the bathroom. And the reservoir out carefully. Then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? Into your fountain pen. Yes, that's right. Answer me one thing, Memo-san. Why did you steal it? For what purpose? Isn't that obvious? To find out what it was made of and expose it in an article. I mean, it was a secret project after all. Too juicy for a journal like me to pass up. And why did the aged woman end up dead? I went into the hut intending to quiz her on the situation, that's all. The reporter. A known killer, enjoying full freedom. Evading justice just by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it. And she just laughed in my face! Oh? What's this? A Far Eastern caveman purporting to practice journalism? Really, you must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways, you ignorant plebeian. What? What did you just call me? This country, with its pretenses to a justice system, to a free press, it's really very depressing. You see our superior ways in the West, yet you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf. Get out, and crawl back into the cave you came from. That's when I remembered about the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time. Terrible tale. In my head, I knew I should just get out there as quickly as possible, but I couldn't! I couldn't let her get away with what she's done. Clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it was my journal spirit getting all fired up. So how screwed are we with the government? I'd like to ask you something. Yes? You often talk about justice. Surely as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver the justice you sought. There's no justice in the press. Sorry? After that trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what had happened in that courtroom. Finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up. That's what it was! A cover-up? What do you mean? I would remind you of your position, witness. Be careful of what you say. Oh, come on! Does it strike you as strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national? Consular jurisdiction should never have come into it. And yet, a puffed-up Englishwoman was going to sail away into the sunset, a free woman. The only possible explanation is that behind the scenes, some deal has gone down between Britain and Japan. What sort of deal? My research dug up all the dirt. It was all ready to be published. But you know what happened? The editor just tore the article up. He came under pressure from the government, you mean? Our government is going to let criminals walk free. They're going to crush the free press. Then what choice do I have but to see that justice is done myself? Let's not forget, Memo-san, that you committed murder yourself and you tried to lay the blame at the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Brett. What? Truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all. I suppose. I feel so bad for him now. It would appear that we have reached a conclusion in this trial at last. Counsel for the defense, Yutar Naruhodo. Oh! Yes! Sorry, Your Excellency, just musing in a manly way here. It's almost unbelievable this is their first experience at the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. In truth, it very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits. Oh, Naruhodo-san, Ryunosuke, you mean? The way you handled the trial 9 months ago, and the way you handled this one, it gives me hope that we are genuinely entering a new era of justice in this land. That's very flattering, Your Excellency. Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly. The future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries. Thank you. So, Prosecutor Algie, do you have any final thoughts? Huh? What? Huh? Huh? Prosecutor Algie? I, Takasuchi of the Algie clan, have been bested by a callous youth not once, now, twice. If there was any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today. Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it? Silence! Rather than living in shame, I will end it all now with this blade. For that is a true path to Algeism! Algeism? One hopes that it's the only way in which he'll be modeling himself after the witness. Sprig of my top. The time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. Akatsuki. Oh! Oh! Goodbye. Goodbye. I can't. Why? Why are you still here? Now, in regards to defendant, Rei Mimambi-san. Yes, Your Excellency. I've reached my final verdict. I hereby find you. Yay, we got a not guilty verdict. We got a not guilty verdict. Order's adjourned. Yeah. Got it. Got it. Liar. It's over. Heart is still pounding my chest out. It's all I can do just to stay standing. Warriors have such great responsibility. Great burden to bear. Say, Naruhodo-san. Susato! Susato! Oh! Thank you! Thank you so much! You were so dashing in there! Rei! And Father! Honestly, I'm so touched by everything you've... No, I think I'm gonna cry! It wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears at the end too. The only reason I'm still here is because of you! Oh no, I can't take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. You did wonderfully, Rei. So I would have to say congratulations belongs to you. Susato, don't be so standoffish. Sorry? We're friends, equals, and the trial's over. So no more of this formal super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with swagger. To throw caution to the wind. Caution to the... what? I'm the great defense lawyer, Ryotaro Naruhodo, and I'm taking you out to a milk margin fire. What the? Or something. Right. I see. I'll think about it, right? At any rate, you really knocked the wind out of that horrid man. It felt so good. Yes, it was satisfying. It really was. Is there anyone else who we could throw together? I hope you're not looking at me, Rei. Oh Oh my goodness, no, of course not, of course not. Ah, there it is at last, Ray's lovely smile. You fought for your friend to the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you. Defense attorney Ryotaro Naruhodo. Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without your help. Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to Ryotaro, I think. I'll miss him in a way, but it's back to Susato Mikatoba now. Oh, I'll never see him again then. What a terrible shame. What? What? What is happening? Ah, Saseki-san and Inspector Hosonaga. I do hope you've been keeping well. Is that really you? Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons, I hope. But it's me, Sako Mikatoba. I don't. Oh, dashing. So divine. No! Doubly dashing! Yes, and devilishly divine! Just look at you! I had no idea, Mrs. Atasan Esquires, that you were local student Naruhodo Esquire's cousin! Astonishing, astounding ace attorney! Poor Saseki-san. So confused! I still remember the first time I've ever met him. He was in a prison cell in London. What an extraordinary conundrum it was the unwitting student from Japan found himself embroiled in. But after Naruhodo-san's skillful defense at the Old Bailey, Saseki-san was free to return to Japan. And now he seems to have affirmed himself to great fame as an author. Done! It's a truly impressive disguise. Even I had no idea, and I'm a chief inspector at the police bureau. You came up with Mr. Turtle, no less. I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. Amazing. You're a woman of many faces, I see. Just two, really. And this was a once-in-a-lifetime event. Hope. Oh, I'm not a patch on you, though. Inspector. Well, I am a professional, of course. I do worry about Inspector Hosonaga sometimes. I really do. 9 months ago, when he appeared at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover disguised as the head waiter of a restaurant. And then on the steam ship to Great Britain, of course, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on the journey. Though that didn't help you, did it, Kazuma-sama? From my perspective, I have to admit that I have mixed feelings about all this. I mean, now the truth's been lost forever. You mean? I'm talking about the murder that the Englishwoman committed at the end of last year. Ah, yes, it was an English doctor she killed, as I understand it. John H. Wilson, yes. Man I invited to Japan personally. Mystery is, why did she kill him? And now that the culprit herself is dead, I'll probably never know the answer. On the voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter with Mr. Sherlock Holmes, the great detective, I mean. Yes, I remember Mr. Holmes well, of course. Ah, my arch nemesis. How lightly you utter his name. Well, according to the stories published about him in the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes. A best friend. That man was an exceptional doctor of medicine by the name of John H. Wilson. What? Dr. Wilson? I just can't believe that's a coincidence. I think that the English doctor missing killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Holmes. That's really true. Poor girl. Never see her beloved father again. You know, I traveled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around the time you were born. Yes, grandmother told me about it. On returning to Japan, I took up my professorship at the Imperial Yume University. But I also served another role, as an advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs. Yes, I was aware of that as well. In that case, I'm sure you understand. There are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you. Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan? It's been 2 months now since I've returned. When I left England, it was because an urgent telegram had arrived from Japan. It said that you collapsed with a high fever and you were growing weaker by the day. What? Where did that news come from? That's what I'd like to know. Because after that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health, Father. Is there something in Great Britain that you perceive might inconvenience me in some way? Harm me? That's really the only explanation I can think of. Me. Do you reserve your most cutting glares for your father, Susato? I'm sorry, my dear. Let me go? Oh, hi! Many Memo-san! So, 1/3 wasn't enough for you. I've got one last thing to say before they take me away. Professor. Me? I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. In that visiting student's fate. Visiting student? Zell Brett, you mean? No, not her! The student of law left for Great Britain 8 months ago! What? Student of law? He must mean... Kazuma-sama! What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with Kazuma-sama? Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it! They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on the steamship, and that he'll never... Hi! Oh! He dropped from the bar! Well, I didn't expect to find him here. What were your officers playing at? Terribly sorry, Your Excellency. I was going to tell you that the rickshaw has arrived, Eugen, and it's a good thing I came by. Yes, thank you for dealing with him. I'll be there shortly. Oh, Your Excellency. The trial's over. I'm not Your Excellency anymore. Merely your father's friend, Seishiro Jikoku. And may I say that since I saw you last, you seem to have taken on a more dashing appearance. Susato. Did you know all this along from the start of the trial? A judge sees everything, Susato. I couldn't let you take the risk. If Seishiro here hadn't known and then he'd recognize you, though I had a word in his ear beforehand, as an old friend. So, Seishiro? Are we? Yes. Having ruled on that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address. Where you go, Father? Sorry, my dear. We shall have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date. But well done again, both of you. You did admirably. Oh, thank you very much. What did you think of my Seishiro sling, eh? It's been a while since I sent a man flying like that. Ha 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 ha! I like this judge. Whatever could Father be hiding from me? Touch Zell Brett. What Dr. Wilson? And now, it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma-sama. I'm gonna have to bring this up with Father sometime. Nobody else is around. Hi. Judicial Assistant Mikatoba-san, Square S. Could I have a word? Oh, yes, of course, Saseki-san. What is it? I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again like this now. See? there's something I need to tell you. Oh? I believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England. This I have to hear. Please, Saseki-san, tell me at once. I will! I will! As you know, my time in England was terrible. Cursed. I have no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness locum student Naruhodo-san the squire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on ship back here to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Next thing I knew, I had a visitor. Who was your father? Mr. Mikotoba. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report. Father? He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day that he sent a telegram to you asking you to return to Japan. What was it then? The particular part my father was interested in? Don't really know exactly. But do you remember them? Those two terrible cases I was caught up in. Of course, I can never forget. Your father seems to concern himself mainly with the second case. Second one? You mean when Mr. Sholmes forbade any of us to talk to you about in the public? Just why the only case involving you that any member of the public is aware of is the first. Well, I don't care. I don't have to listen to what that dastardly detective says. Anyway, the point is, it seems that case somehow holds the key to all of this curious unanswered questions. Graphic, hideous, heinous case. The case of the haunted lodgings. Are we about to do another case with Saseki? The case somehow caused my father to summon me urgently back to Japan? I thought the whole business was over. It seems I was wrong. Perhaps that was only a start. Perhaps the story not yet told. So confused. Oh?
So, the mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness. And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better. How you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in on.
Hold on.
But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter. I met Soseki-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in. Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again. Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again. Yours, Susato.
Little bucket. Little bucket. I am so fucking concerned. What am I about to find out in this game? What am I about to find? Do I have to play this entire game as his author? There's no shot. There is absolutely no shot. There is 100% no shot. Now, I could do the very rational thing of just ending it here and starting the next case anew at some other point. But I want to keep playing. The memories of the clouded memoirs, the clouded kokoro. Oh, what? What do you mean? There was a second case with Saseki-san?
It was a ghastly tale of a winter's night. One of an invisible killer and a crime perpetrated on the pavement along Briar Road. As the victim lay at death's door, the mystery of just who had stabbed the young lady from behind had been resolved. But no sooner had my friend saved that Eastern exchange student from his harrowing plight than in the dim, flickering shadows of gaslight did a second bizarre crime rend the stillness of that very night.
Oh!
I dare say most can still recall the sensational headlines of the day. Haunted apartment of death, the condemned criminal's curse, the dread demon of coal gas.
The dread demon of coal gas. What?
Yet, though the great detective had at once discerned the truth upon his arrival at the scene, it only proved to be the overture that announced the rising of the curtain on a most tragic play.
I'm concerned. I am made of concern. Are you made of concern? I'm made of concern. Oh, do we get to play as Ryunosuke? My name is Ryunosuke, a fledgling lawyer just starting out on my journey. 6 months ago, I arrived as a visiting student of law, having made the long voyage across the sea from the Empire of Japan to here, London, England. And on the way, in quite extraordinary circumstances, I made the acquaintance of a world-famous detective. Currently, I reside in the attic of the detective's own lodgings, from where I run my legal consultancy of sorts. I've successfully defended a number of clients in Britain's highest court, the Old Bailey. This is a particularly grueling and unforgettable legal battle 4 months ago now. I haven't returned to the courtroom. In truth, I lost my right to return. But that epic trial was just one small part of an epic tale. A tale which was now about to waken from slumber, thanks to a letter that arrived this morning from my homeland. I hunger. What a delicious smell wafting up the stairs. It must be nearly time for breakfast. I better go down to Mr. Sholmes' suite. Say good morning to the great detective and his flatmate. Hello? Hello? Ah, Bruno! Good, good! I was just about to call up to you. The bacon's ready! Good morning, Iris. It smells delicious as usual. Before we eat, though, I have some news. I had a surprise this morning. Shh! Not another word, Mr. Naruto. This could just be the abstruse thing for my pre-breakfast stagnation repellent mental stimulation, my dear fellow. Morning to you, too, Mr. Holmes. Ah, yes, I see now. Oh, God! So that's it! The truth is as clear to me as day. My faculties of observation have revealed it again. Oh, what are you talking about? You, Mr. Naruto, you have this very morning met with a surprise. Well, is that not the case? Really, my dear fellow, barely warrants explanation. Firstly, your hair is partly unkempt, somewhat reminiscent of a bird's nest. Secondly, you have neglected to fasten the third button of your jacket. Clearly, when considered together, these two facts point to you have been flustered this morning. Can I talk now? But of course! Though I don't look for admiration, you understand? My hair always looks like this. It's been this way since I first met you. Oh, it has? And the button was ripped off last night, if you remember. By you! Hurley pulled your button off? Ah, yes! I recall the incident now. It was after supper, was it not? As the evening advanced, I picked up my violin and began to play the wailing notes of a haunting tune. But then, to my utter dismay, the third string snapped! Why did it have to happen? Why? Little wonder then, that in my vexation, I grabbed the first button I saw and ripped it from its proper place. Well, I'd like it back now, please. It's troubling me that I can't fasten my jacket. And it's troubling me that you expect me to know where it is. Somewhere thereabouts on the floor, one presumes. Helpful. What matters at the present time, my dear fellow, is simply whether or not my deduction was unerring. Hurley, Reno 70 came in, didn't he? I had a surprise this morning. Well, that really is a surprise. Yes, this man is the pride of the Britain Empire. Famous consultant detective, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. There can't be a single person in the world who doesn't know his name. Alright then, enough of this silly conversation. Come and eat this bacon before it gets cold. And I have a new herbal tea for you to try too, my latest special blend. And here we have Iris Wilson, Mr. Sholmes' lodger and companion. A truly exceptional young girl, who is the author of a highly successful serialization here in London. Yes, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, as published in Rance magazine. So, Mr. Naruto, won't you put us out of our misery? What surprised you find this morning? What surprised you this morning? Ah, well, I received a letter from Japan. Oh, from Susie, you mean? Was it? Really? That's right. And she had some rather startling news, in fact. Ah, intriguing indeed. You must tell us all about it over breakfast. Oh yes, what fun! Hey, look at my shiny badge. You wanna see my shiny badge? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, about this. Shh. Not another word. Ah, yes, I see. This would be a collar. For a breed of miniature canine with a particularly long neck. And for winter use. Actually, it's the armband I always wear to symbolize my role as a defense lawyer. Precisely! Which leads us to but one conclusion. Your arm is in fact the particularly long neck of a miniature canine. I'm starting to wish I'd never shown this now. Man's barking mad. Okay, let us talk. It's the letter that arrived from Japan this morning by international post. Oh, how lovely! Look at Susie's beautiful handwriting. I wish I could read it. And how is your judicial assistant faring, may I ask? She's very well, thank you. In fact, according to what she's written, she actually appeared as a lawyer at the Japanese Supreme Court and won a case. Really? Oh, isn't she wonderful? I got about of your good self, my dear fellow. If one case is two, you know. Apparently, Mr. Natsume appeared in the trial as a witness. Natsume. No, I don't recall that name. Of course you do. We helped a man. Twice. You know, in those two cases that took place on Briar Road 6 months ago. Ah, the mustache twitchy man with that somewhat feline eyes and the mustache. He didn't have two mustaches, Hurley. Yes, who could forget those two cases? They made a very deep impression on me. Although I must confess, the details are a little hazy now. A very deep impression they made on you. Clearly. So, what was the startling news penned by Miss Suzato? You remember the case of the haunted lodges, Mrs. Sholmes? Ah, yes. It's very interesting, you know. I don't feel entirely uncertain that a case of that nature did not occur. He's totally forgotten it. Anyway, in her letter, Mrs. Zato asked that we should read over her case notes again and investigate further. Though it took place half a year ago? For what purpose? Is that something that Mr. Natsume said to her parent? He suggested that the real reason why she was called back to Japan so suddenly might have something to do with that case in the haunting lodge in... Oh? On Mr. Natsume's return to Japan, Miss Suzato's father questioned him about the case, she says. And something Mr. Natsume said appeared to trouble Professor Mikotoba, prompting him to send a telegram. Oh, that case! Yes. It Very strange, wasn't it? Yes. Oh god, not the Mengundo theme! I had compiled the whole story into a nice, neat manuscript ready for publication, too. But then Hurley here was all funny about it, remember? He was very mean. That story must not be published, she said. Very mysterious as well. Really? I said that? Are you sure? You perhaps know something about it as well, Mrs. Holmes. About why Mrs. Zato was suddenly told 4 months ago that she had to return to Japan. Well, you're gonna tell us, right? It's been 4 months now since we waved Susie off at the Dover. It was such a shock, wasn't it? The way she just suddenly announced that she had to go back to Japan. Indeed it was, due to a telegram she received from her homeland, I believe. That's right, telling her to return urgently. Yes, because her father had passed away. No! It just said he was suffering from high fever, the cause of which was unknown. He's not dead. But according to this letter, the news about her father's fever was just a ruse. Ruse? So Susie's daddy lied to her to make so that she'd make the voyage back home? Why would he do that? I have to admit, I have absolutely no idea. But she believes it's almost certainly related to the case of the haunting lodgings. Summoning her back to Japan so suddenly like that? Wonder what Mrs. Zato's father is hiding. Harley, do you know what it's all about? Oh, hi. Well, who can say? What? But you said... Please, I have engagements, my dear fellow. My calendar is quite surprisingly full today. And a stringent analysis of the matter would be excessive, I feel, even if I were at quite a leisure. So, man the fort in my absence, won't you, Iris? I will, Hurley. Don't worry. See you later. Bye. Alright, time to raid his room. He scuttled off rather quickly there. I think perhaps Professor Mikatoba isn't the only person hiding something here. Seki-san was involved in 2 cases, but only one of them was forbidden from being published. By, of all people, Mr. Sholmes. Aha! I found them at last! Iris, are they... The notes about the case? That's right. Susie and I compiled them together. The case of the haunted lodgings. Do you want to read them, Myrna? Absolutely. Thank you, Iris. I have no idea what secrets could still be hiding in the shadows of this case. Perhaps if I read over the notes again, something might come to light. That's the spirit! And so, Iris and I decided to read over the case notes again together. Everything from what happened to our investigation, Pierce's battle in the courtroom in that fall. Living every detail. I just need to find a clue, and I have all the time in the world. Because of course, I'm no longer allowed to practice law in the courts of Great. Chilly. Oh wait, hang on. Oh wait, it was... Okay, I didn't know if it was gonna automatically go or not. It was 6 months ago. A serious incident that unfolded on the wintry streets of London. A young woman was found lying on the snowy pavement of Briar Road, with a knife in her back. Fortunately, her life was spared. She was unconscious for several days following the incident. Fog was thick, and nobody saw her attack her, but by a cruel twist of fate, a visiting Japanese student was walking behind her at the time and was duly arrested. That man was Saseki-san, and the man who effected his arrest was Mr. Sholmes. Believing in our compatriot's innocence, Shizato-san and I decided to represent Saseki-san in court. And after a grueling trial of many twists and turns, we finally managed to prove his innocence. Joyful, joyous, jubilant jubilation! Was the man's reaction after the trial, but his jubilant jubilation was short-lived. We received a telegram from Mr. Sholmes the following morning. The victim of the Briar Road stabbing has regained consciousness. Hurry to the Barts at once. Shizato-san and I summoned a hansom and headed immediately to the hospital. Oh. Holy shit, that's one big ass rat! Why is there a chunky big ass rat in this game? Hang on, I gotta take a picture for the guys. Rat. There you are at last! Good morning, Mr. Sholmes. I think not. Oh! You're late! What on earth took you so long? Your telegram only arrived at 5 o'clock, Mr. Sholmes, and it's a 20-minute ride to the hospital. That's right. And it's 5:30 now. I think we made very good time. The time is utterly irrelevant. The fact is, I've been waiting for what has felt like an eternity. In point of fact, I myself was awoken at 4 this morning by a telegram boy. And feeling it was somewhat unjust that I alone had been roused at such an hour, I sent one to you. Well, thanks for that. Anyway, you're here now, so the victim was over there. She's only just regained consciousness. Hi! You should introduce yourselves, and I shall observe from here. So that's the lady who was found on the snow-covered pavement with a knife in her back. Her name is... yes, here we are. It's Green. Hello? Okay, Sholmes, are you actually over here? Oh, shit. Okay, he's not. I was wondering if he's over there. Good morning. Hi. Hello. I'm, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, the Empire of Japan. Oh no! Was it your knife that... Are you the man who... No, I'm a lawyer. And I'm Shizato Mikotoba. Pleased to meet you. Oh no! Was it your knife then? Are you the one? Oh no! I assure you, I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. We heard that you regained consciousness and wanted to come give you our best wishes. Best wishes? Me? Thank you. I'm Olive Green, an artist. Well, no, that's not right, is it? What I mean is, I'm trying to be an artist. Well, what I really mean is, I desperately want to be an artist. The truth is, I don't have any talent. I know I don't. It's no wonder I was stabbed in the back. I don't think that's related, actually. Gosh, this young woman seems to bend over backwards to put herself down. As we're here, we should ask her about what happened from her perspective, I suppose. Suddenly be struck in the back by a blade as you were walking along the pavement. What a terrible experience you had, Miss Green. It was so cold that day, and the fog was so thick, I couldn't see a thing. That was 4 days ago now, I think. Is that right? Yes, that's right. I'm afraid you've been comatose all this time. The case has been solved, hasn't it? While I've been here in the hospital, I mean. Indeed it has, my dear madam. Spectacularly by none other than I, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes, as you well know, it was Mr. Naruhodo's hard work in court that solved the case. Are you yet to hear what happened, Screen? Yes, I'm afraid so. A gentleman from the police force is supposed to be coming to fill me in shortly. Oh, I see. You coming around seems to have made everyone frantically busy. I'm so sorry. I should have never regained consciousness. It was selfish of me. Oh no! We're all so relieved that you're on the mend, Miss Green. Really, we are. With that kind of attitude, maybe her surname should be Blue, not Green. So, you're an artist, are you, Miss Green? Oh no, I couldn't possibly claim that. I'm a fledgling artist at best. I mean, I'm a student of art, really, at the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts. Oh my, Academy of Fine Arts! Great Britain is such a wonderful country. Tell me, Miss Green, do you live hereabouts? Oh no, actually, I don't deserve it, but I have a little flat on Brixton Road. See, very interesting. Oh no, is it? Brixton is some 10 stops away on the underground from here. And Thorndike Academy is a mere 3-minute walk from Brixton town center. That matter, Mr. Sholmes? Perhaps not. The Broad Road is a far less salubrious part of town by comparison, built in by those of inferior means, including the maleficent Mr. Mustache. Inferior means? I suppose Saseki-san does fit the bill. It struck me as somewhat out of the ordinary for a young fine arts student to be walking in such a district. That's all. What's this? She suddenly clammed up. Mr. Sholmes! You should be ashamed of yourself, prying into a young maiden's private affairs! Oh dear me, do forgive me. If you don't mind. I'm being discharged shortly, so I need to pack up my things. Oh yes, of course, we won't keep you. Thank you so much, Miss Green. Do I leave, or do I look in the bag? Must be a bag of Miss Green's personal belongings. She would have been brought here. She would have been brought directly here after she was found stabbed on the pavement, though. I expect a friend or family member probably brought some things for her. Alright then, let's see what's inside. A change of clothes, no doubt, and... No, Mr. Naruhodo, you must never scrutinize a young maiden's personal belongings. The young maiden might have chocolates, or biscuits, or caramel. Are you a kid? We're gonna talk about the rat, right? A mouse! Mr. Naruhodo, an enormous mouse! Vermin in a hospital? That doesn't seem the best. It looks like a very healthy specimen, doesn't it? It's very plump. I'm not sure we could say that's down to the excellence of this facility. That's what you're thinking. Who's this? Look, there's a photograph in the frame here. Aww. Oh yes, it's a picture of a young gentleman. He looks to be about the same age as Miss Green, I would say. Perhaps the young woman's special someone, do you think? My, Mr. Naruhodo. I didn't know you had a sense for matters of the heart. Not in the least. I sincerely said the first thing I thought. Is there a Mr. Naruhodo here? Mr. Naruhodo! Naruhodo now? Well, if you're looking for Naruhodo, the lawyer, that's me, but... Ah, Mr. Naruhodo! Good, this is for you! It's a message from, Mr. Saucy Nutmeg. Mr. Natsume? Sent a message to me? Why would a policeman be delivering a message from Mr. Natsume? Exactly. What's going on? Scotland Yard constable doing playing delivery boy at this time in the morning? Ah! What are you waiting for? Let me see that! Well, this is most unexpected. Something wrong, Mr. Sholmes? Is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes? He says. Have you not seen this note? No? How could I have? It would seem that the London's criminals have no intention of letting the great detective rest. A new case calls. A case of murder, no less. Must depart at once. Murder? All cab! Time is of the essence! But the trouble is, we've yet to read Mr. Natsume's note. I was thinking we ought to pay him a visit in his lodges once we did. That will be entirely convenient. Convenient? What do you mean? It's all here in the note, my dear fellows. The murder we must investigate took place at Mr. Moustache's lodgings. Wait, what? All hail a fierce at once. Fires, fierce. It was only yesterday that Saseki-san was in court and we were dispelling doubts about his innocence. And now, the very next day, the murder at the man's own address? He may very well be the unluckiest man alive. Or so it seemed to us at the time, but we were soon to discover it was way worse than we thought. I want to get to the trial because I want to see who I'm up against. One of the two guys that we saw in the last game that I was like, who the fuck are these people? What on earth? Oh my, the gentleman's deceased without question. He's dead. Locum student Mr. Naruto Esquire. Mr. Natsume. Oh, why is this happening? Why to me? I've only just got out of court. Yesterday, I was finally home after 2 days of misery. And then I wake up to the next day to this. No early bird should catch a worm like this. Woeful worm without a wiggle. I see you're in high spirits again this morning, Mr. Mustache. Ah! Not the horrible hairlock Sholmes. Shoo! Shove off! Show yourself to the door. I never invited you. Mr. Sholmes came here with us. I'm quite sure he'll be able to help you, Mr. Natsume. I'm entirely at your disposal, Mr. Mustache. What can I do for you? Hi. Here we are. Here they are. Already. The busy bodies. Ah, Inspector Gregson. What a pleasant surprise. Pleasant, is it? Give me heartburn every time I see your face at a crime scene, Sholmes. Ha! I deduce, Inspector, that your heartburn is a result of your excessive consumption of fried food. Good morning, Inspector. This is a crime scene. Don't you go touching anything. Or, good morning to you too, sunshine. Touch. Oi! I said hands off. You're gonna mess up my crime scene. Oh, no, I just wanted to look, that's all. No, Jans. I know you're kind. You'll mess it up just by looking at it. Ugh, someone's in a bad mood. There's certainly some bad air in here, isn't there? Alright, it sounds like I'd better talk to the inspector first and try to curry some favor. Come on. Something on the ground. Really? What do you mean? Huh? What? You mean? Oh, okay. You won't let me touch. No, Inspector. What was the victim's name? Who was he? Mr. William Why? Why, Mr. William Shamspear. He was the lodger here. As you can probably tell, he was an actor. A bit of a dead loss as it happens, or just dead. Mr. Shamspear. It was the landlord, old Mr. Garadeb, and the other lodger, Mr. Natsume, found them. The fellow didn't rise at his usual hour, so Garadeb got worried and kicked the door down. But, doesn't Mr. Garadeb have a bad leg? Ah yes, you're right about that. It was that jittery Japanese hunchback over here who actually did the kicking. Really? He's on? The victim was pretty hard up, it seems. He even done some time inside for petty crimes. He had no money, no place to go, no friends. His only acquaintances were the people in this house. Miserable life and a miserable end to it. So, what exactly is Mr. Natsume doing here? He's not involved in the investigation, so shouldn't you have sent him away from the crime scene? Well, I'm not saying it because the fellow looks odd or anything, or that he acts suspicious. But I thought it would be prudent to take a statement from the culprit. I mean, cohabiter. You nearly said culprit there, didn't you? Oh dear. The Natsume appears to be under suspicion again. Certainly seems that way. He does just come off as such an odd fellow, doesn't he? Poor man. Fortunate. Anyway, I can't say much until the coroner gets here. I don't think the fellow's been a goner that long. The body's still warm. Even if the inspector would allow it, I don't think I could bring myself to touch a dead body. What a terrible thing to have happened. It's been 3 days since I was arrested for the incident on the pavement outside. And then, having finally regained my freedom, it starts happening all over again. Endless existence of excruciating experiences! So, the victim lived here on the ground floor and your room is just 1 story up, isn't it? Yes, that's right. In a way, we were neighbors, I suppose. So did you know the victim? Were you friends? Are you okay? What's the matter with Saseki-san now? Was an innocent enough question, wasn't it? Why does he seem so shaken up by it? Well, I suppose he wasn't a complete stranger. But did he ever invite me to his room? Never! On my honor, I swear it! What an extreme reaction. You're probably wishing you'd never asked now, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Found him here, I felt wretched. Which is why I sent word asking you to come. Through that inspector over there! Oh my god, Sholmes, what the fuck are you doing? Mr. Sholmes. What are you doing? Ha! You need only observe to know, my dear fellow. Investigating naturally. There's nothing natural about that pose. Sholmes, we made some miraculous discovery? Patience, my dear madam. Patience. We've not been here in this room 5 minutes. So far, all I've managed to deduce is what actually happened. My goodness! But isn't that everything we need to know, Mr. Sholmes? Now that you propose the idea, I believe one could indeed see it in that way. At the present time, I have managed to draw 2 incontrovertible conclusions. The first, there was a physical struggle here last night in which the victim fought for his life. Oh. Hi. Mr. Natsume, what's wrong? Is something that Mr. Sholmes said significant somehow? No. Don't mind me. Forget I was here. His eyes are twitchy. And my second conclusion is that there was a poison lingering in the air here at last night that passed the victim's lip. Nonsense! Alright, Mr. Natsume. Why are you reacting so extremely to Mr. Sholmes' deductions? No, please, pretend I'm not here. invisible, inevitable, inscrutable, insignificant. Impossible to ignore. You must tell us everything, Mr. Sholmes. Spare no detail. Of course. Let the theatrical tragedy before us be unraveled by my great deductions, presented for your pleasure in 2 acts. There are some truly astounding great deductions films in the past. No doubt this will be no exception. But miracles will unfold before our eyes this time. I get to do this before I go to bed. Yeah! I'm so excited. We'll probably end stream after this, depending on how much information we get. But I'm so excited. Yeah! 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 It took so long to get to the first one. I really like doing sections, or these deductions. So, my dear fellows, for your delight and wonder, let the curtain rise. For Sherlock Holmes, logic and reasoning spectacular. Act 1. Is the music the same? Ooh, yes it is. Careful observation of the victim reveals to us the events that transpired in this disconsolated room last night. Oh my god! Foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates the use of poison. Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate which contains, you will observe, 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful, indubitably. Why is this soap set so purposely up upon the dish, like the victim's last supper, in fact? Yes. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer. The stare from Natsure. It appears that the young man's appetite was his undoing. Taking up arms in the form of cutlery, the victim engaged in a deadly battle for his life. Yet the struggle against his hunger was in vain, for in the end, he couldn't resist devouring the slippery feast. But London's foul soap is besmirched by a foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. Soap and a lather about the young man's mouth are too perfectly matched to ignore. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to excessive ingestion of foul soap. Though personally, I have a greater interest in the taste of foul candle wax, of course. The candle wax. Technically, like, in a way, wax is edible as long as it doesn't have, like, you know, coloring and stuff and whatnot. Like, natural, like, beeswax. The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2. Where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? The audience will recall that death occurred during the victim's last supper. Did the man dine and die alone? The single teacup suggests the answer. Draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. The careful criminal could have absconded with his own cup to cover his tracks. Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Indeed, what reveals the answer is, of course, the broken lock. Though forced open now, at the time of the incident, this door was locked. And the sole key was in the victim's pocket. In other words, when the victim consumed the poison, he must have been alone. Alone with his inferior soap from whence wafted an inferior scent. And with that acrid aroma lingering in the air, the victim met his end in tragic solitude. We can take comfort only in the fact that his soul was well cleansed on the way to the hereafter. Yeah. Thus concludes the final act of Sherlock Holmes' Great Deduction. There's just one thing, Mr. Holmes. You are disposed to identify just one thing, aren't you, Mr. Naruto? Pray, what concerns you? Well, no matter how hungry he was, do you really think the man would have eaten soap? It is quite apparent that this man had barely a penny to his name. Unrelated to this, I don't know why there's a recent trend, but there's been a recent trend of making soap that looks like edibles, like cupcake, boba tea, you know, all of that stuff. And I'm like, this is so pretty and so amazing, you're so talented, but at the same time, this is literally asking for trouble if a kid gets their hands on it, because they will fucking eat it. And even then, I'm pretty sure an adult will try to eat it, because they'll look at it and be like, oh damn, this looks so good. Quite apparent that this man had barely a penny to his name. It's a curious thing, but to one so destitute, soap can suddenly appear quite irresistibly appeasing. How extraordinary. In truth, I tried a little soap myself in the past. You've eaten it, you mean? My dear fellow, some time ago now. My postulation was that it would cleanse my gut. And did it? As I writhed in agony on the floor and spilt the contents of my stomach, yes, I believe it did. The experience taught me a valuable lesson. Soap is quite poisonous. It has an unpleasant taste and leads to great discomfort. In summary, I cannot recommend it. Believe me, I wouldn't eat it even if you did. There's something that troubles me as well, actually. Oh? What's that? It's Mr. Natsume. I couldn't help noticing him shuddering and quivering out in the corner of my eye. Almost as if Mr. Sholmes' seduction has touched a nerve somehow. Nonsense. Well, that clenched teeth episode didn't last. I think, judging by Mr. Natsume's reaction, the great detective may need some gentle corrections in order to reach the actual truth. Yes, Mr. Sholmes' observation and deductions are sometimes a little too sharp. He has a tendency to hit the nail on the side of the head and drive it into an obtuse angle. When he does that, it falls us to straighten things out. Alright then, let's see what we can do. Yes, we must pick out the key words in Mr. Sholmes' quite brilliant deductions, and discreetly exchange them for something that makes a little more sense. If we can do that, I'm sure we'll arrive at what Mr. Sholmes meant to say in the first place. In that case, are you ready for the second performance of the day? Once again, my dear fellows, for your continued delight and wonder, let the curtains rise. For Herlock Sholmes, Logic and Reasoning Spectacular, Act 1. Ugh. I am made of parachute. Okay, so we have to figure out what he ate? Why there's foam in his mouth? Is that actually a bar of soap? I just like how Saseki just kind of stares at the camera like this. Well, you can't deny that a fork implies that the man was eating something or about to eat something. Yes, that's true. If I were to decide to eat some soap, I should prefer to use a fork than to attempt it with chopsticks. And of course, only half of the bar of soap is left on the plate. Might there not be another explanation? Something material that proves whether or not the man really ate some soap. Oh, wait. Look! There's more soap on the floor here! Mr. Shamsi really must have loved this stuff. Let's not jump to conclusions, Mr. Naruto. Look at this soap! You see that it would fit together perfectly with the half bar on the table? What the? How could that be? I think That they are two halves of the same bar that broke apart. Yeah, so I guess we...
Take that!
Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course. The other piece of soap reveals the answer. It being the other half of the soap on the table. In short, the victim was not eating soap at all. But it's obvious, really, for no depths of hunger could drive a man any attempt to eat soap. Even I, with my unquenchable thirst for practical knowledge, only took a single bite. That begs the question of how the man was poisoned, because there's no sign of any food on the table. An excellent observation, Mr. Naruhodo, and one that furnishes us with the answer we seek. For London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that was tainted in the contents of the plate. Mr. Sholmes is still pursuing the soap argument then. Perhaps he's suggesting the man licked the soap rather than ate it. If soap in London is that poisonous, I don't think I want to be washing my hands with it. There are no signs of any food in this room at all. Of course, food isn't the only way that passes people's lips, is it? So...
Take that!
Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that taints the teacup. Indeed! Cups have been the vessels of choice for practicing poisoners over the centuries. And it would appear that this victim drank every last drop. There's no sign of food anywhere in this room. Which leads us to the immutable conclusion. The cause of death was clearly intoxication due to the ingestion of poison contained in this teacup. Fire. Yeah. This is still one of my favorite songs, yo. The cause of death identified, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder? The audience will recall that the death occurred during the victim's last supper. The man died and died alone. The single teacup suggests the answer. Ah, the Western vessel for infused hot drinks again. It's already featured heavily in our deduction so far. Yes, we can imagine that shortly before his death, Mr. Shamspeare was having a drink of tea. There would be nothing remarkable about that. What troubles me is Mr. Natsume's reaction when he heard Mr. Sholmes suggest it. There's more to this deduction than it seems. Let's closely examine the scene of the crime again for some more clues. Go back to tomorrow because I need sleep. My eyes hurt. Please go to sleep! I should go to sleep soon. I just wanted to do this real quick. What was it doing again? Hey, there's another cup!
Take that!
I just realized how darkened his eyes are now. Did the man die alone? This other teacup suggests the answer. Yes, there were two teacups in this room all along. In other words, this is a strong indication that at the victim's last supper, there was a guest present. At the very least, we can now say with certainty that somebody else was here in this room last night taking tea with the victim. Ooh, what are you talking about? Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly unreasonable! To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. In which case, what more can we deduce about this possible guest at the table? Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear friend. Do you mean to say you know exactly who was in the room at the time of the victim's death? Indeed. What reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. I'm not sure I like where this deduction is going now. I'm afraid it's too late to go back on to the halcyon days of eating too much soap. Didn't you even guess who was in here last night where the victim passed away is something I have a very bad feeling about. We can try to ignore your feelings, but we can't ignore the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. No, I suppose not. Time to look around again. Glasses. Hold on. Wait, really? Really? It's empty. Empty of liquid, but full of air. That makes you think, doesn't it? You think that you're full of hot air. We should be thinking about who else was in the room at the time. Father, Susasa's quip in response was cleverer than my original riddle. First glance, it seems that the only things in this room are the makeshift stage and the costumes. I overlooked these 3 books initially. I wonder what they are. Let's see. Let's read. Picture of Monsieur Lecoq, Canterbury Earnings, and Kneel for Gaborio. Wait, I'm sure I've heard those titles before. It could just be an incredible coincidence, but they're the exact same 3 books that Mr. Natsume purchased the other day. What? Yes, on the day of the unfortunate incident where Miss Green was stabbed. Seki-san had just been to a bookshop and bought them. That's right. And now these 3 titles are here in the room of the victim. Yet Mr. Natsume claims to have never been in here before. What does this mean, you think? I really don't know what to make of it. Failure.
Take that!
Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the pile of familiar books. Quite so. It's no mere coincidence that these 3 titles are here in this room. It's the link to the truth. Mr. Natsume, you purchased these books 4 days ago at a second-hand bookshop. That's just a coincidence. In that case, you will be able to bring the same 3 book titles from your own room, will you not? This very moment. No, never, non-negotiable. If you can't bring your own copies here, it proves that these 3 books are in fact yours. Having purchased the books 4 days ago and returned to your lodgings, you were arrested the very next day. So you could conceivably have brought the books here in that evening, but you never mentioned about that. In other words, you could have only brought these 3 books here to the victim's room. Last night, having returned to your lodgings after the trial concluded at the Old Bailey. In short, there is only one possible conclusion. The victim died here in this room last night as a result of poisoning. And that the same night, the victim had a visitor. And that visitor was you, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Thus concludes the final act of Sherlock Holmes' Great Deductions. Finished it, yay. Yeah, elementary. Elementsky. Not again. Not again. Not again. Not again! Well then, Mr. Natsume. It would appear that you're gonna have to accompany down to the yard. Again. That's a really fat chip. Oh, No! It's fish and chips! It's the little fish and whatever. But wait! Hold your horses! Yes? Door! Key! Locked! Entry! Exit! Entirely impossible! He's so flustered he's being even stranger than normal. What? You think that's an alibi? You could have just made a copy. What? You live in the same building after all. You have had plenty of opportunity, I'm sure. But misery me! Sorry, sir. You'll get your chance to give your side to the story later. The fact speaks for themselves, Mr. Mustache. Ah, you horrible hairlock Sholmes! He really has found himself an arch rival now, hasn't he? Come on now, no dilly-dallying. Outside, there's a carriage waiting. Look, I'm soon missing her to a squire! I never imagined I'd be in this position again, but... You have to help me! Please, please, I'm innocent! Alright, I understand. We'll come to your cell later and talk about it. And one more thing! Oh, yes? My poor little kitty cat. Please give him his breakfast for me! And so, his evil curse still apparently unbroken. Sasaki-san found himself once again the prime suspect in a case of murder. Thanks to the incriminating deduction of the great detective. My dear fellow, that honor belongs to you! Oh, at least that means Inspector Gregson is no longer here. We can examine the crime scene in more detail now. Yes, that's right. Han, of course. What? Have you forgotten what the inspector mentioned before? It was the landlord, Mr. Gardev, who discovered Mr. Shamspear. Ah, Mr. John Gardev, yes. I expect we can find him in his sitting room on the top floor as usual. Alright, we must remember to go and talk to him later then. Okay, first thing first, it's really bothering me. What the heck is this thing down here? What's this? Is that an envelope? It looks like part of an envelope, I think. Yes, I think you may be right. Perhaps it was torn when the letter was open. That's significant. Well, it's a little out of place, perhaps. When you look around the room, there's no sign of a letter or the rest of the envelope, in fact, is there? He's right. And yet, here we have the torn off end of an envelope. It just strikes me as unusual. I agree. I'm going to take this just in case. I'm not seeing like any hours. I'm gonna end stream here before I get too deep. Also, I'm just very tired. Both my throat and my sleepy. So yeah, that'll be it for today. I'll see if we can try to continue this Friday if I don't like perish like I did last week. I was really bad last week. But yeah, y'all have a good night. Take care. I will see you guys later. Bye.